right, folks, so finally now I think we are live. Thank you for joining us here out on YouTube. MacNSeitz 14U Blue playing today against the Odessa Bombers. That's in the KC Sports Web Gyms Championship Tournament. Missing us just here at the beginning of the half inning. There is now one down. Count is 2-0 to the batter, and a runner on third. So a big RBI triple by that young man over at third. Apologize, folks. Did not get the roster here until a little too late, and then had a technical difficulty on top of that. So sometimes those things happen, but here nonetheless. Starting out on the bump today is number 15, Grant Kelly. Grant not pitching a ton for us just yet this season, only 4 innings on the season. He did play in 2 different games. Faced 20 batters, had about 69 pitches, and looked like his ERA 5.25. Runner goes. And throw down is not in time. That'll put both runners in scoring position, runners on second and third. Again, just one down. Kelly from the stretch. And that ball in high. Struggling here just a little bit here in the early go. Last pitch coming in 61 miles an hour. Swing and a miss. That one gets away from McCliney, but he hustles back and runners make no attempt to go. And with just one down and a kind of a shallower backstop here, playing today at the Capital Federal Sports Complex of Liberty in Liberty, Missouri. We're out here on the Jousting Pigs field. And another curveball, big swing and a miss. That bat wasn't 2 feet from that ball. So Kelly finding a little something here working for him. That breaking ball. 2 down now. And it starts off with the first pitch strike. Sometimes you just need a little bit of time to kind of get your mojo going, and maybe that's what Kelly's done here. Swing and miss. So up in the count here early, 0-2, and looking to get out of this top half of the first inning without any further damage. Batter jumps back as that ball goes just inside. Swing and miss, and that will retire the side. So not bad for top half of the first inning. Odessa Bombers putting 1 on the board, jumping out to an early lead here. There was that big hit out to right field. Right fielder was nowhere near it. Took him quite a little while to get back to it. Once that relay came in, there was a stand-up triple. So I'll go over to today's starting lineup. Leading off for MacNSeitz Blue is Reed Eckert, followed by Ryder Votaw, Jacob Larson, and then Paul McCliney hitting that cleanup spot. Followed by Logan Peterson, Harrison Perkins, Tucker Lee, Odie Saxon, Austin Strength, Brooks Carr, Evan Book, and then rounding out the lineup, batting in that 12 hole, Grant Kelly. I was able to get a lineup here for the Odessa Bombers. Carbon copy here, so a little tough to read, but looks like their lineup in their batting order. Aiden, followed by Garrett, then Michael, Cole, Drake, Triskin, Wyatt, Liam, and maybe Tack or Jack. I'm not sure. Jake, maybe? I'm not sure. We'll try and get a qualifying thing in the air, and then the rounding out the roster for them is number 33, Will. So that's number 15 up there on the bump for the Odessa Bombers. That's Michael. As the MacNSeitz team out here trying to work on their timing. And Reed Eckert here again leading us off after injuring his back and going towards the bottom of the lineup, then kind of flipping it on end here and takes that first pitch for a strike. So good to have him back in a healthy capacity. And this is a ground ball right back to shortstop, but he flubs it. And so Reed Eckert will reach on air. So something that we've seen here pretty much all season long is a number of different fielding issues, both by our team and then also by our opposing teams. You would like to think that your shortstop's going to come up with that one for an easy ground out, but nonetheless, Reed on first base with a good lead, and Ryder being patient at the plate per usual. Swing and miss on a curveball, and that one gets away from catch as Reed does a good job out there on the base paths and makes his way over to second. Ryder doing a good job sitting on that curveball, waiting for it to come across the plate, and goes inside out on it, but it does go foul. Now 2-2 count. That one high and inside. A big chopper. This one over to short. And they are able to get the out there. So, folks, I'm typically using a T-Mobile and had to switch over to a Verizon chip. And their signal, this one gets put into play. Jacob Larson continuing to hit really well, and he gets an RBI single and stretches that out for a double. So that'll tie the game up, folks. So no sooner than Larson steps into the box, he's running around the bases. Paul McCliney swinging early, fouling that one back. Paul batting just 278 on the season, but had a pretty good showing in the tournament week before last. He takes a ball down in the dirt. So it looks like Michael out there on a bump, pretty comfortable going back to his curveball fairly often. Swing and miss there for McCliney. And Larson with pretty good speed out there on second, has a good lead, but is being held on by the second baseman. And a strike three call. That one breaking about right across the middle of the plate. McCliney not too happy with it. That'll be 2 down. So tall Logan Peterson stepping into the plate. And he fouls that one back. So I've talked about this before, and the kids are kind of hopping right on these pitches right away. And I think that's kind of been one of our signature fails is the guys are really not getting deeper into the count and getting really good pitches to hit. And, you know, it's hard to be critical of a guy when a ball's across the plate and swinging away. But obviously looking for a number of strategies and trying to get that best ball to hit. Logan takes that one there. Now evens up the count 1-1. Good lead for Larson over there at second. I will say that the catcher looks like number 14. I cannot see his jersey number there. But he appeared to have a pretty good throw down to second here earlier in the game, or earlier in this inning, rather. Another pass ball. And Larson doing a good job making his way over to third. So stream today going to be probably a little jumpy on you. Do apologize. And big swing and miss. And that'll be a strikeout for Logan Peterson. So that'll do it for us in the first inning, but not before MacNSeitz ties the game up. 2 strikeouts and leaving just 1 stranded on the base. But again, Jacob Larson continuing to hit lights out. He's averaged 500 on the season with a good slugging average at 722. So I tell you what, he's got 9 RBIs, 7 runs on the season, 5 walks, and a couple of hit by pitches, but continuing to see the ball well. And you won't be able to see this in your cameras, folks, because we're facing in the opposite direction, but the nice train going by the Capital Federal Sports Complex here. So you may hear that in the background as Kelly continues to warm up there in between innings. And we are all set to go now. Think I've got just about everything situated here as Kelly starts off with another changeup and a swing and a miss. So kind of finding a little bit of a groove there at the end of the first inning and continuing it here early in the second. Getting number 7 wide for the Odessa Bombers down early in 0-2 count. This one high inside. Now 1-2. So it looks like defensively, at least for the chart that I've been given here, looks like we should have Reed Eckert out in center field, Ryder Votaw at shortstop, Jacob Larson in third base, Paul McCliney at catch, as we so often see. Logan Peterson over there at first base, Harrison Perkins in left field, Tucker Lee in right, Austin Strength at second, and of course Grant Kelly up there on the bump. And so after starting off on an 0-2 count, 4 straight balls, and Wyatt is able to make his way over to first. So first lefty for the team up, number 24, Liam. So Paul largely untested as of yet, only just one attempt on a stolen base. And a foul ball left side. That'll even up the count at 1-1. Wyatt over there on first. Have a moderate lead and a pretty good jump after the pitch. And a back pick over there at first. Now 2-2 count. I tell you what, the ball field is relatively quiet today. We got games going on all around us. Usually I have a little bit more exuberance, but maybe it's that time of day as Grant Kelly gets a second strikeout for the day. So that's 2 strikeouts, both of which the batters were looking. And a nice breaking ball by Kelly, running back on the outside of the plate. Tell you what, it's been refreshing actually, playing at 4 o'clock and then at 8 o'clock this evening. And I got to tell you, not having to get up at dark 30 and be on a ball field, kind of a different thing here for us. McCliney doing a great job keeping that off speed right off the chest plate, right in front of him as the runner tried to go. I thought we could have got him in a pickle had Paul just ran right at the runner. Instead, electing to make the throw down to second and doing a good job of at least keeping him on first base. But he had him caught out there in no man's land, and had he run right at him, he would have been able to really narrow that gap a little bit better. So something that they likely need to work on and practice a little bit. Ooh, missing that one just outside. Now 3-1 count. There it goes. Throw goes down. It will not be in time. And honestly, it didn't matter because that was ball 4. So no throw necessary. That's one of those things where understanding, what's going on in the game, understanding what the count is, what the situation is, no need to make an errant throw right there where somebody going down to second quickly could maybe on a bad throw make their way over to third. So Kelly doing a good job right now after I think about that third or fourth batter in the top of the first. He's been able to get the batters down early in the count here. So not a big velocity guy. This speed sitting somewhere right around that 60, 61, 62 range. But working in his different pitch mix. Going inside and out, also up and down. Although I would say a little bit more up. Kind of setting that top edge. And that's something that I talk with Tucker Lee about quite a bit. And we watched a video here recently where Trevor Bauer really talked about setting that top edge As the ball goes into play, this one over to second and throw over to first for out number 2 on a fielder's choice. So Odessa Bomber doing a good job moving his runners over. Both now in scoring position. And still here in a tie game, 1-1. And Kelly once again, first pitch strike. So doing a good job here in the second. We're talking about setting that top edge, and so if you set that top edge, in particular with a fastball, depending on your arm slot and your arm location, when you're throwing, your changeup and your two-seam and even your slider or curveball, it's going to make those pitches look wildly different. This ball in play, and oh my goodness, an unnecessary throw down and another run scores. That is one that we would love to have back. That'll put the Odessa Bombers up now 3-1, and Kelly came in and slipped on the turf, which you see actually pretty frequently here. This turf, not a lot of traction. Guys wearing turfs or molded cleats. Obviously, metal's not allowed on the turf, and Kelly just slipping and falling as he was reaching down for the ball as he was sitting on his butt, and then he still tries to make a throw over to first. Another run scores, and so just not a good decision right there, and that's something I'm sure that he's going to learn from, and coaching staff and I'm sure parents will continue to work with him on that. I'm sure he's disappointed because right now he actually has been pitching pretty well, starting off with these first pitch strikes, and he starts off with another one right here. McCliney doing a great job, kind of textbook catching work right here. I tell you what, replacing his feet with his knees and getting down and taking those balls in the dirt right off the chest plate and keeping it right in front of him. I tell you what, it's good to see Kelly, with a little bit of a mental error right there on that last play, but getting right back up here on the next batter and still throwing strikes. And that's one of the things that you'll see, especially in particular in youth pitching. But after an error happens, it's easy to kind of get in your head and let that thing kind of bounce back and forth in you and take you off your game. But Kelly's still here doing a good job on the pitch count. Full count. And that one runs back inside for ball number 4. That'll put number 13. Looks like Garrett over there on first now. That brings up the pitcher, and he'll be looking to help himself out a little bit here. Number 15, Michael at the plate. Runners on first and second. 2 down. Well, I really thought Kelly was going to have that last one, and just that last pitch just missed inside, kind of running back inside with some good movement. And a pass ball. Runners do advance. And now this is where MacNSeitz, it'll be interesting to see how the boys respond. Just one simple error costing a couple of runs, and still a close game here, 3-1, and just now on top of the second. But we'll see how they respond, out in the field, and then of course up at the plate, swinging early, and certainly not overwhelmed by the velocity. And a wild pitch right there. Now 3-1 count, so maybe some of that frustration starting to affect Kelly here just a bit. Heads back to the mound. Working from the stretch. This is a pop-up left side. It's going to be out of play. And Kelly doing a good job working back to a full count. So 2 batters in a row here, working back to that full count. Let's see if Kelly can win this battle right here. That one down in the dirt, and that will load the bases. And Coach Max won timeout here to have a short visit with Grant. I'm sure just trying to calm him down. It doesn't really look like there's any intention on taking Kelly out right now, and still here early in the game and, you know, very much in hand, 3-1. I think that they're confident enough that we can put some runs on the board. So, yep, just as I expected, just a very short visit. And Coach Max heading back to the dugout. Sometimes that's all a pitcher needs is just a little attaboy there and kind of reset. So real big lead out there at second. Runners on a loaded boat here. This one's fouled back. So once again, starting off with that first pitch strike, and such a pivotal pitch. Statistically speaking, the pitcher has a significant advantage when starting out with the first pitch strike, and really not working out to Kelly's advantage here in the second. Tell you what, it's a beautiful day right now. Sun's high in the sky. It looks like it's just partly cloudy, but sun out shining right now. Out here in the mid-80s, and I tell you what, it's definitely warm, but we've got a little bit of a breeze going, and it's just enough to kind of keep that heat off of you if you're in the shade. Imagine the boys out here on the turf, which the infielder turf might be a bit higher. This ball gets by McCliney, but runners once again just stay put. So now 2-2 count. We got 2 down here. Top of the second. Bases loaded. Fly ball, right side. Logan Peterson calling for it. And he pulls that one down. Well, I tell you what, that is definitely one we would love to have back. And just a really simple slip right there on the turf, and that could happen to just about anybody. And I'm sure Grant will definitely take a look at that later on, and I'm sure he's kind of kicking himself for it. But I tell you what, he did a good job sticking up on the mound and not letting things kind of get away from him. So 2 runs score on that error. But then after that, Bombers leaving 3 stranded. That is going to bring up Harrison Perkins, followed by Tucker Lee. All right, folks, looks like we are all set here for bottom of the second. Odessa Bombers sticking with Michael out there on the mound. Leading off for MacNSeitz is Harrison Perkins. Perkins batting just 125 on the season. And so not off to a great start as I'm sure he would like to have. I will tell you, that first, I would say first tournament, maybe two, Perkins was actually putting the bat on the ball pretty consistently, kind of getting underneath it a little bit, and so he had some deep fly balls, and it just felt like, you know, they just weren't quite going to the areas that you would hope, and maybe a little bit frustrating and disappointing for him, and unfortunately it looks like that's kind of turned into a little bit of consistency. But what we do know is that Harrison is he works hard at practice, and I'm sure he'll be working to turn some things away. Again, great contact, really hard. That one well out of play. That's what I mean. You know, Harrison, when he's putting the bat on the ball, there's some energy in it. You know, these aren't little dribblers or little choppers, you know, throughout the infield. And a swing and miss, strike three. That has kind of been maybe a little bit of his Achilles heel is the strikeouts. But that's going to bring up number 27, Tucker Lee, to the plate. Tucker fouls that one. That pitch coming in 69 miles an hour. So a little bit better with the velocity. That's kind of like really where 14U pitching velocity should be. You know, kind of maybe on the lower side. Now 1-1 count. Tucker looking comfortable up there at the plate. Switch your view here. Big swing and a miss. That one missing in, coming in 70 miles an hour, 2-2 count. One down here, looking to get something going. MacNSeitz down 2 runs. A little off speed, that one well low and then down into the dirt as it came across the plate. And full count. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, is trying to get deeper into that count, trying to get that better pitch to hit. And Tucker draws a walk right there, so quality at bat. And now here's a bat that we've been missing all season long. That's number 5'8", Odie Saxon at the plate. So Tucker with good speed out there on first. We'll see if we can get some things going. Odie looking comfortable, and pitch doing a good job trying to hold the runner. Stepping off the rubber 2 different times. Runner goes, and Tucker is up easily. So Tucker with a great jump right there, and probably not the best pitch for the Odessa Bombers catcher, as that was an off speed. And interesting on the strategy on the pitch call there. Saxon fouls this one out of play to the right side. So Odie playing for Lee Summit High School, Lee Summit West. And if you've been watching and joining us, he joined us out on the broadcast here, I'd say maybe a tournament ago, maybe 2 tournaments ago, and kind of gave us a little bit of an update on his season, and excited to have him back out here on the diamond as he takes one for the team. So a hit by pitch. That'll put 2 runners on, just 1 down. And Austin Strength. Here's another guy in the lineup that has done a great job at the plate this season, batting .353, 500 on base percentage, and his OPS right at 912. Fouls that one back. The OPS is your on-base percentage and your slugging percentage. You combine those together, and it really gives you an indication of what a batter is able to do at the plate, and then in situations where there are runners on, and anytime you get around that 1,000 and above, you really got a guy that's doing some good things for your team. Oh, no. Tucker Lee, I don't know, ill-advised steal. He's thrown out there at third, and he had a slow jump, and you know, I don't know exactly what happened there. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't even watching second, as I didn't believe they had any intent on stealing. Big swing and a miss, and Austin's strength goes down, and that will do it for the. Whoa. Hold on a sec here. All right, so a little confusion out here on the diamond. Looks like the base umpire and the home plate umpire are going to convene. Okay, and so I had my count a little bit closer to right. I thought perhaps I was down in the count, which can happen for me time to time, as I'm controlling the cameras, the audio, the score, and the whole 9 yards. But now the Odessa coach asking for a timeout. He wants to discuss with the home plate umpire what just happened. I think what he's really contesting is Odie Saxon being over on second base. So we'll see what comes out of this. But so on that last pitch, Austin Strength with a swing and a miss. Odie Saxon out there on the steal. And, Austin Strength thought that was his third strike, heads back to the dugout, as does Odie Saxon over there on second base. And then a bunch of the Odessa Bombers also started to leave the field. But then there's a little bit of confusion. Everybody kind of returns to their positions. And now there's a – okay, that's what it is. The Odessa Bomber coach is indicating that he believed that was a foul tip. So, indeed, if it was a foul tip, then it would be Odie Saxon needing to go back to first base. Honestly, I didn't see the ball hitting the bat. But just because I didn't see it doesn't mean it didn't happen. And oh no, looks like they are calling the tournament director right now. And play is going to be halted here momentarily. I only had it as 2. And so So I think it looks like the Odessa Bombers coach is saying that it was a foul tip. And so he's wanting Odie to return back to first base, I think is his point of contention. But I don't know if to me, it's a pretty simple call. So maybe this is a more complex situation that I'm just not really understanding. But, again, we do our best to try to relay to you guys as you're sitting there watching from home. When you have somebody that's not calling play-by-play and you're just trying to watch and you're like, what the heck is going on? So sometimes when you're out here on the field, it's a little bit of the same. So it looks like a tournament director will be coming back over. No. Okay. So looks like the Odessa Bombers coach wins his appeal. Odie Saxon returns over to first base. And play will resume now with a 1-2 count. Strength putting the bat on the ball there. That one leaving the field, right side. I tell you what, Strength has done a fantastic job. He's got, looks like 4 RBIs on the season, four runs. He's got 4 walks. And he ends with a strikeout there. So MacNSeitz leaving 1 stranded, and score remains at 3-1. you can still see umpire over here still on the horn trying to get a hold of that tournament director, maybe just kind of discussing the call and the play. As it ended up, no big result in the matchup here, so that's a benefit. Sometimes that's not always the case, and it could be more of a pivotal call, but fortunate for everybody here. Let me see if I can take a small pause here. All right, so tournament director comes up and confers with his umpiring staff, and home plate umpire does a good job of explaining what he felt like the situation was, and that was at the it was an 0-1 count to the batter, who was Austin Strength at that point, and then he swung and missed, and he thought it was out was strike 3, and he was heading back to the dugout. And I think the Odessa Bombers coach really wanted him to be called out as he left the batter's box heading to the dugout. So not the call, but once again, it did not result in anything pivotal for the game, fortunately. So Kelly's starting off not a bad job here. We are in top of the third now. And I tell you what, he's done a pretty decent job of getting a first pitch strike going. And if not for that one error in the second inning, I think this would still be a 1-1 matchup. Nice curveball. That one coming in 58 miles an hour. Now let's see if we can get you a better view here for. Big swing and a miss, and that's strike 3. That's the third one on the day for Grant Kelly, folks. I'll tell you what, he's been just as comfortable throwing that strike as he is throwing the curveball, and boy's throwing the ball around the horn, and unfortunately thrown it away. So that last strikeout, number 44 Drake for the Odessa Bombers, and in the box right now is Triskin, number 30, as he takes the first 2 pitches for 2-0 count. And Grant kind of moving those arms and just trying to stay loose here. Doesn't look overly frustrated, which is great. So takes a small little pause here, deep breath, and he's all set to go. Oh, misses just right there. So 4 pitches and 4 balls, and that will put Triskin on first base. And Coach Max now wanting to visit about it. Looks like he's asking for the ball, and looks like MacNSeitz is going to make a pitching change. So Grant Kelly with not a bad start, and if not for that that error in the second inning, I think he'd have just had 1 run on record. So looks like MacNSeitz moving to Brooks Carr. So Brooks Carr will need to warm up. Kind of sticking in that same velocity spectrum, right? So Grant not on the higher end, and Brooks also not on the higher end there. But Brooks is our sole left-handed pitcher, and so he gives definitely a distinctly different look to those Odessa Bombers hitters. And it should be interesting to see how they take that coming in. And Brooks will consistently throw that fastball. He'll throw an off-speed as well with some movement. And I'll take a short pause here. All right, and Brooks makes quick work of his warm-up. All set and ready to go. Waste no time with pickoff attempt over there at first base. Followed up by a back pick from McCliney. And they are doing a good job of trying to keep that runner over there at first. So last pitch coming in just at 55 miles an hour. Now 2-0 count. This one's fouled and out of play. And that is number 7, Wyatt Ford, for the Odessa Bombers at the plate. Now with the 2-1 count, runner on first. So I imagine Brooks going to need maybe a batter or two here to kind of settle in. He does a good job there. So he started to line up as if he was going to pitch from the windup. Smartly steps off, and now from the stretch. And unfortunately, draws a walk right there. That'll put runners on second and first. Okay. Throw that away for me, bud. All right, this is a little popper. Votah handling it and throws over to third and gets the lead runner. So nice job there. Little fielder's choice. I think everybody was kind of hoping for maybe an opportunity at a double play, but the ball just really didn't have a lot of energy right off the end of the bat, just coming over the head of Brooks Carr, and Votah charging the ball, doing a good job getting to the ball. I thought maybe he could have pivoted around and thrown that over to second and tried to turn two, but regardless, getting the lead runner, so not a bad outcome. Two down now here, top of the third. Runners on second and third. Brooks Carr now on the bump. And nice looking curveball right there. That'll even up the count out 1-1. So as that sun begins to set here, maybe later in the game, we're going to see that sun really come into play, maybe more so for the catcher and the batter. but still relatively high in the sky right now. And so we'll see if that becomes a factor in this game, possibly the next. Big swing and a miss. Now 1-2 count. And Brooks with a strikeout right there to get out of that inning. And so still just a 3-1 matchup, favor of the Odessa Bombers. And now MacNSeitz will have their opportunity to put some runs on the board. Folks, while we're in between the innings right here, I will take a moment here and talk about our platinum sponsor for the 2023 baseball season. And that is the good folks over at Van Horn Land and Cattle, family-owned and operated farm in Kansas. You can check them out on Facebook. They are big on community, and we are big on them for supporting local youth athletics. Their donation supports these young men training and playing America's pastime. So a huge shout-out to everyone at Van Horn Land and Cattle. Thank you so much. Looks like the Odessa Bombers are going to stick with Michael Scott out there on the mound. And no, I'm not making that up, folks. He does not work for the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. Not sure if any of you are fans of The Office, but pretty funny show. It's been on some time ago. I'll go on a short pause here as Scott continues to warm up. That's Brooks Carr stepping into the box. And he moves out of the way for ball number 1. So Brooks Carr batting .250 on the season with a .429 on base percentage. I will say he had a relatively pretty good tournament at the plate. This last tournament that we played, that was the Perfect Game Super 24 Invitational. Oh, and apparently I had a different count there. He's saying that was that first pitch must have been a strike. So 3 pitches and 3 strikes. Well, that brings up number 11, Evan Book, to the plate. Evan's struggling at the plate here pretty good. Batting .091 on the season. I will say that we played a game against the Joko Storm. That was over at the Mid-America Sports Complex, and he came up with a big double, an RBI double. That really kept us in the game there. We ended up falling to him in that game, and it was really good to see him kind of put the bat on the ball. It was a little bit of a gapper, and Evans, he's not a plus speed runner, but I tell you what, he got a hold of that pitch and put that in the gap, and that was a big one. So we know he's capable of it. He's just got to put it together here up at the plate. Still an 0-2 count, and he's battling. And swing and miss. So Michael Scott making quick work of the first 2 MacNSeitz batters. And that's going to bring up Grant Kelly. So that's the bottom of the lineup for MacNSeitz. On deck, Reed Eckert. And nice stroke right there. That'll be good for a single. So maybe get a little 2-out rally going here. Nice little stroke right there. You know, Reed Eckert, interesting to see him leading off, batting just 133 on the season. And so, you know, when you kind of look at a batting average like that, his on-base percentage, though, he fouls that one hard down the right side. His on-base percentage, 458. So, and you got to remember, too, that Reed hurt his back in game and continued to kind of struggle through that game. And so he came up to the plate and bunted in 2 situations where I was just like, what the heck is going on? And because we had 2 outs and he was bunting, but as he takes a ball in the leg right there, and that'll be a hit by pitch. So he's limping pretty good down that first base line. We'll give him a minute here just to walk that off. But I'll tell you what, you know, he stayed in the game. Otherwise, that would have been an automatic out for us. And that was a close matchup, and that was against the ABA Simpson. And what a game that was. That game, Jacob Larson hit a 3-run home run, put us up 3, and ABA Simpson, hats off to them, stayed in the game, battled back, and then ended up winning on a walk-off. I believe a walk-off single. But, you know, so when you're looking at an average like I was talking about with Reed at 133, you also got to understand there's a lot of things that factor into that. And so Reed typically doing a really good job base running for us. And so for the most part has led off most of the season, which that was a little bit of a change from the fall season where Ryder Votaw led off. And so Ryder now batting in that 2-hole. And Ryder's one of those batters, I'll tell you, he does a great job of working into the count, but knowing whether that ball is actually in the zone or not. Pass ball, and, man, our runners look like they were struggling. I know Grant Kelly was going to make his way over to third there. So runners now on second and third. 2 down. We'll see if we can't get a run across the plate here. Ryder takes a strike on the outside. Kind of nods to himself like, oh, man. Kind of have to agree with him. That one was out there, so he'll have to protect the plate right now. And strike 3 call. MacNSeitz will leave 2 stranded, and so 2 stranded this inning, 1 last inning, and MacNSeitz still down 3-1. Looks like Brooks Carr will head out and continue to pitch for MacNSeitz. As he warms up and our boys take the field, I'll take a moment here and talk about one of our silver sponsors for this season, and that is the team out at Village Pediatrics. Specializing in comprehensive services for children from birth through adolescence, they continue their support and care of the community through their services and also here by supporting the young men at MacNSeitz. So if you're looking for a pediatrician, we'd recommend you check them out. That's Village Pediatrics, where children come first. So thank you so much to the team out there. You know, we had a lot of different ideas and plans on what we could do with the sponsorship donations. I know I was kind of leading the charge on some of those sponsorships, and I tell you what, our parents coming up big, working with some of their employers and coming up with some good donations. I was hopeful that we might be able to use that and leverage that towards a really cool travel tournament. I think we came up just a little bit shy of maybe where I was kind of hoping for, but nonetheless, those donations kind of working back, and looks like they'll pay for the coaches that we have. So that's Coach Brady and Coach Max. So that's how MacNSeitz decided to use those donations this year. So again, thanks to all of our sponsors for that. So that brings up number 33, Will, for the Odessa Bombers. He fouls that first pitch back. Not a ton of stuff making its way out into the field for our guys to field. And one of the things that we do typically see when Brooks comes into play is that he's going to throw strikes. He's going to keep it across the plate, and people are going to put that ball in play. And so it's one of those things where these guys need to stay on their toes and stay lively. This one in play right over to shortstop, and Ryder Votaw with a good throw there for out number 1. So no sooner than I said it, ground ball right over to short. And I tell you what, Logan Peterson tipping the height charts over there, about 6'6", 6'1", and that throw maybe a little bit off the mark, but he's able to pull that one in for out one number 1. Fly ball. Ryder Votaw calling for it. And he pulls that one in for out number 2. So 2 batters, 2 outs. And MacNSeitz hoping for a clean inning here. Oh. And that is number 13, Garrett, for the Odessa Bombers, doing Brooks Carr a little bit of a favor there, chasing that one high and outside. And he fouls this one right side. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. You set that top edge, and you get a ball coming in, and especially from a velocity standpoint, if it's a little bit lower than maybe sometimes what you practice at, it can really seem very, very appealing. And then next thing you know, it's still staying high, and you're swinging at a bad pitch. He does it again there, and Brooks very intelligently goes in that same spot, high and outside, and he ends up with a strikeout. That'll do it for us in top of the 4th, and we'll see if MacNSeitz here, kind of in the meat of the lineup here. Leading off is Jacob Larson, followed by Paul McCliney. All right, so as we switch over and Odessa Bombers are taking the field, I'll take a moment here and talk about another silver sponsor for us this year, and those are the folks at Sally's Propane. Started as a family business back in 1981 and continue to be family owned and operated. They have a long history of supporting local youth athletics and continue that today by supporting our MacNSeitz team. Sally's Propane serves over 4,000 customers in 4 counties, and so if you have a need for propane, do me a favor and check them out. They'll get you guys taken care of. So thanks so much to all the folks out there at Sally's Propane. I tell you what, Jacob Larson just absolutely hitting the cover off the ball here lately. Batting .500 on the season, and maybe not a better batter to get something started for us here late in the 4th. And I tell you what, Paul McCliney also. So one of 2 guys that have hit home runs over the fence for us this season, and that has been Larson and McCliney. And so we'll see if they can't get something going for us. As MacNSeitz trailing by 2 runs here. It does look like the Odessa Bombers make a pitching change here, and that's going to be number 18, Cole, up on the hill. Big kid, looks like he's got a good arm. We'll see where his control is at as he continues to warm up. Got a heck of a long last name out there, but I just can't quite see that lettering. And I only got first names here on the roster that was given to me. take a short pause right here. All right. So all set to go here, bottom of the fourth. And again, that is Jacob Larson going to be at the plate. You know, if there's been just one critique, and one of the things that has led to some of our losses this season, and that has been able to get the ball in play. And Jacob knocks a really pretty good one. That was high in the sky, though, and right fielder doing a great job getting underneath that. So one pitch and one out. And that'll bring up number 44, Paul McCliney. So as I was saying, one of the critiques, if we had any, is how many folks that were leaving on base and the number of runs that were able to get batted in. So Paul McCliney turning on that one, left side. That gets over his head. I tell you what, he is rounding first, folks, headed to second. Relay coming in, and he will be in for a stand-up double. So, like I said, before the half inning came into play, Larson and McCliney, one of the two batters that you could really expect to try and get some things going for us, and Paul does just that with a great knock over the left fielder's head. They'll able to get a courtesy runner for him over there at second base, and that's typically the last out, so that is Jacob Larson, and now Logan Peterson at the plate. Swing and a miss. That fastball coming in 73 miles an hour. So Logan getting out there on his front foot there, and need to kind of keep that weight back and then rotate through the strike zone. Ball high in the sky, left side. Left fielder looks like he's tracking it, and he will bring that in for out number 2. Being on the left side there, McCliney tagged up, or not McCliney, but Larson, and unable to advance over to third. That brings up number 28, Harrison Perkins, to the plate. Perkins with just 2 RBIs on the season, looking for an opportunity here as Larson with good speed out there on second. Think he might have an opportunity. Pass ball, and actually maybe more of a wild pitch. And Larson, on his toes, makes his way over to third base. So 1-0 count now to Perkins. And another pass ball. So that's kind of what I was seeing in the warm-ups, is maybe a little bit of control issues there. Definitely a little higher on the velocity, so sitting right there around 71 to 73 miles an hour on that fastball. And that one missing outside. So 3-0 count to Perkins. He's got 2 RBIs on the season and looking to possibly add one here. You got to imagine he's probably going to take on this pitch. 2 down. MacNSeitz trailing by 2. Perkins swinging away on 3-0, and that one leaving the field of play to the right side. So a green light there for Perkins. And a 3-1 pitch is definitely that's what you call a hitter's pitch, right? You know that the pitcher isn't going to want to walk you. And Perkins does his job. Fair ball. So Perkins with an RBI single. And some heads-up base running. He's able to make his way over to second. I tell you what, folks, Perkins on his toes, paying attention, and Odessa Bombers a little lackadaisical getting out to the ball out there on the right side. That's going to bring up number 27, Tucker Lee, to the plate. So Lee with 6 RBIs on the season. He'll look to possibly add to that here. And MacNSeitz trailing now just by 1, so tying run on second base. Lee right on top of that one, fouls it down. That to me looked like, Cole, that's the pitcher for the Odessa Bombers. Maybe start out with an off speed there. Oh. And MacNSeitz with another ill-advised steal over to third, and the second attempt and the second out. That will do it for us here in bottom of the second, and so not sure if Perkins was supposed to be on the steal there, but that kind of takes away any bit of that gusto that you had going here in bottom of the fourth. Man, unfortunate. So Tucker Lee will be leading off for us in the next in the bottom of the fifth. But my gosh, what a missed opportunity right there, because everybody has seen that the Odessa Bombers catcher, and I think by Coach Brady's reaction out there over on third base, I don't believe that he had signaled Perkins for a steal. Definitely some visual frustration there, and certainly no reason not to be. And, you know, I think the other person that had stolen third was Tucker Lee. And so a couple of guys with definitely some plus speed, but man, stealing third is a tough deal, and especially if you got a good hard thrower up there with a shorter delivery. You're going to have one heck of a jump to make that. Disappointing for sure. And so just a couple of if you might look at it like that, like an error, I would definitely say that, according to Coach Brady's, face right there, he definitely will look like he was disappointed. So Brooks Carr starting off there with a ball high and outside. Had a clean inning this last half inning. Let's see if we can do that again here. 2-0 count. And a nice dig by McCliney, but another ball for Carr. Now a 3-0 count. That is number 15, Michael Scott, at the plate. No, not working for Dunder Mifflin. He's batting for the Odessa Bombers. And 4 pitches and 4 balls. And you got to think that MacNSeitz really needs to hold the Odessa Bombers here in this inning if we're going to try and make a go for it. And that brings up number 18. Cole Westerhold, it looks like. So a very modest lead over there at first. And a beautiful curveball for strike one. So really good control, really good action, and breaking right at the right moment. Westerhold really turns on that one. It's going to be a gapper. That gets by both the left fielder and the center fielder. Relay comes in, but not before Westerhold's up for a stand-up double. So nobody down here, top of the fifth. So MacNSeitz leaving 4 stranded out on the base paths today. Could be the story. Now number 44, this is the catcher, Drake. Drake King, it's right over here. That's Drake King with a foul. That'll even up his count at 1-1. Puts the bat on the ball there, but it's out of play. And Carr will have him down in the count now, 1-2. So the Bombers have been pretty careful and conscientious on the base paths. Not electing to run or do anything cute out there on the base paths, and don't expect they'll do anything like that here. Brooks a little frustrated with that last pitch. I think that was a curveball that didn't break and kind of slipped out of his hand. And a swing and a miss, and Brooks Carr with another strikeout, number 2 on the day. So doing a good job battling back. As we work towards the last half of the Odessa Bombers lineup. That last pitch missing just outside. Now number 30, Tristan, up at the plate. Pops that up. Votav's calling for it. And that will be out number 2. So sun starting to get a little bit lower in the sky, but that is currently right now at the fielders' backs. Votav making no qualms about how that was his ball. This ball in play right over to third. Throw over, and a big stretch, but a throwing error. 2 runs will score, and that has been the name of the game today. Errors costing MacNSeitz runs. So Logan Peterson doing a big stretch out there, and I think, you know, he's really doing his best to try to stretch and get out to that ball, but throw coming in low and in the dirt, and Peterson unable to come up with the dig. Fortunately, right field out there on the backup, able to get to the ball relatively quickly. Ball in the air, left side. Perkins makes a jumping catch. I think he may have misread that a little bit, but an out nonetheless, and that gets us out of the inning, but not before the Bombers put 2 more on the board. And so now 5-2 in favor of the Odessa Bombers here. Bottom of the 5th, and this is, we got to be coming up close on game time here. Just 12 minutes to the top of the hour. I think we did start a little bit late, though, so I think we're doing okay on time. MacNSeitz drawing that home advantage, and so certainly we're going to get that last at-bat with an opportunity here. Looks like we'll start off with number 27, Tucker Lee, followed by number 5'8", Odie Saxon. And the Bombers continuing to stick with number 18, Cole, out there on the hill. Well, folks, I'll take a moment here and talk about our last sponsor of the day. That's Reeve Roofing. And I tell you what, they've been a sponsor for our boys out there on the field today and all season long. You have to check these guys out. They'll treat you like family and guide you through the insurance claim process, whole 9 yards. Check them out online. That's Reeve Roofing, ReeveCon.com, Reeve.com. Those guys do commercial and residential roofing, so all of your roofing needs. Thank you guys for your support and donations out here to MacNSeitz here in this 2023 baseball season. Well, you couldn't ask for a more beautiful day. It looks like Cole out there has 2 more warm-up pitches. Nice and warm, but just enough of a breeze to keep it comfortable out here. Starting to hear the ball fields liven up here a little bit. Maybe the heat of the day had everything kind of quieted down here, but it sounded like it was really quiet out here on all the ball fields earlier. So feeling like maybe there's a little bit more energy. And I tell you what, the dugout over here for MacNSeitz has been relatively quiet. And so all the guys up right now up at the fence. Cheering for Tucker to get something going for our boys. Called strike right there. That is a fastball, 70 miles an hour. Lee looking pretty comfortable. And same spot, man. That bat never moved. I tell you what. As Lee inches his way closer to the plate. Got to be thinking off speed's coming here. And Lee does a good job putting the bat on the ball there, but that one is foul left side. So I tell you what, if I'm that pitcher, I come right back with the fastball again, and instead he did opt for an off speed there, and Tucker was waiting for it. You'll see that in youth pitching right there, where people are not recognizing, what the batter is or isn't on. So I'd be expecting fastball again right here. Nope. Little curveball, now 2-2 count. Wild pitch right there. And now full count. So that's two at-bats back-to-back for Lee. Working his way to a full count. Drawing a walk on his first at-bat. And that one right down the pipe. I don't know where Tucker thought that one was at, but he thought it was a walk as he threw his bat and raced down to first, but certainly looked like a strike to me, and that'll be out number one. That'll bring up Odie Saxon, and we'll see if he can't get something started for us. Never swung the bat on that at-bat. Well, yeah, he did. That's right. He fouled one down the right side. It was outside? So my color commentary joining us here a little bit late, but verifying for me that pitch was well outside. A little outside, I'm sorry. My gosh, here I am taking liberty with her words. Now 2-0 count to Odie. Deep breath. Stays right in the box. He fouls this one off hard, right side. So now 2-1 count. Odie looks down to third, taking his sign from Coach Brady. Pitch working from the stretch. And another wild pitch. Kind of stands to reason. You wonder if he's kind of got that Randy Johnson thing going on. Maybe throw a few wild pitches and get the guys guessing. But I tell you what, Odie and Paul, two of the guys on our roster that I think just stay in the box regardless. So he does draw a walk right there. And we're going to need a few runs. Now Austin Strength up at the plate. Austin batting .353 on the season. Got 4 RBIs, 4 runs. He's also drawn 4 walks so far. We'll see if he can't continue things for us out here. As he takes the first pitch down in the dirt. Odie not one of the blazing fast guys that you'll see, so he's taking a good lead. But I don't believe you're going to see him running. Strike call. And that's really more so in light of the fact that Ketch has actually thrown 2 of our MacNSeitz runners out, trying to attempt to steal third. That's number 44, Drake, behind the plate. Nice looking breaking ball right there. Gets Strength. But still another pitch here yet to go on a 1-2 count. Only takes one. Oh, and a step back and a swing. Hard to hit the ball doing that. Strength will go down for the second at-bat in a row. That's going to bring up number 5, Brooks Carr, to the plate. So Brooks batting .250 on the season. 3 RBIs, 5 runs, 5 walks. And for the second batter in a row, he starts off with an off speed down in the dirt. Catch calling for a timeout, wants to reconvene with the pitcher. You know, one of the things I have seen with Brooks here, he has an offset batting stance, and oftentimes I see him when he's battling out at the plate, he will step back with that right foot and swing and still get that bat on the ball. A little bit of a conundrum here for me, because usually when you see a guy stepping back, you don't see him putting the bat on the ball, but he does typically a pretty good job of stepping to the ball. But as I see him lined up right now, he has more of that traditional stance. Foot just a little bit, leading foot, a little bit in front of that back foot. And a call strike right there. Brooks Carr not happy with that. Telling the umpire he thought it was low. Typically not a good idea to talk to the umpire during your at-bat. Now 2-2 count. And that one right down the pipe for strike 3. So 2 strikeouts that inning looking, and MacNSeitz not helping themselves out by not swinging the bat. Still a 5-2 contest. That'll take us to top of the 6th, and so MacNSeitz will still have the right to be able to bat one last time, provided that this inning starts. And with that late start, I do believe that should not be a problem at all. Folks, I'm going to go on a short pause here, and we'll leave you with a little bit more of that organ. All right, folks, that takes us to top of the 6th, and MacNSeitz does make a pitching change. Now up on the bump is going to be Austin Strength. Austin appearing so far in 2 games this season, only pitching 6 innings. And I tell you what, he's had an ERA of 4.67. You know, when you kind of look at the runs versus earned runs, so it's 9 runs and only 4 of which have been earned. And that kind of goes back to some of those fielding woes that we had, in particular for the first 2, maybe 3 tournaments. And one of the things that you see with Austin is that the ball is often put into play. In particular, I think he's a good ground ball pitcher. So not higher on the velocity spectrum by any means either. Tends to sit in the low 60s. Very typically. right now, working from the windup. Bomber hitter are calling for timeout. I tell you what, Austin has been used just doggone near everywhere in the out there in the field. So he's definitely he's pitched for us a little bit. He's been over there at third. We've seen him at short. We've seen him at second. So they've kind of moved him around just kind of wherever we've needed him, depending on what the roster and the lineup has been. And a strike three call. That one outside corner. So one batter, one out. And strike call. So Austin finding the zone here early. And we'll keep the pressure on the Bombers to swing the bat. Little chopper right back to Strength. And no problem there for out number 2. So just as I said, a pretty good ground ball hitter, and little chopper right back to him, handles that cleanly, and 2 batters, 2 outs. And Austin calling for the sign. McLean giving it to him. And fans kind of coming alive a little bit here, cheering MacNSeitz on. Ball outside, that one coming in 63 miles an hour. Now 1-1 count. If MacNSeitz can hold them here, 3 runs is definitely not an out of the question for MacNSeitz to score. And another called strike. So this batter yet to swing the bat, now 1-2 count. And a wild pitch. 2-2 count. Beautiful, beautiful day. See some cotton from the cottonwood trees kind of floating around. And another little chopper right back over to second. Handled by Grant Kelly, and that is out number 3. So Austin Strength coming up good there. And now MacNSeitz really needing to get something going. Here down at the bottom of our lineup, leading off for us is going to be number 11, Evan Book, followed by number 10, Grant Kelly, and then we will be back to the top of the lineup with Reed Eckert. So hoping these guys getting a little bit deeper into that pitch count and getting a good ball to look at. The Bombers do stick with number 18, Cole. Looks like Westerhold. Cole Westerhold out there on the hill. He's been a little bit wild, but coming up with the pitches that he's needed. MacNSeitz has been freely swinging away. But I would think that if they could be just a little bit more patient at the plate, they're going to be able to draw a walk and get some runners on, because he has been consistently down in the dirt, up high, and out of the zone when he's not been right across the plate. Well, Evan Book up there right by the plate trying to get his timing down. We'll see if that does the trick. Big swing and a miss. And Book will start out 0-1. So Book with an on-base percentage of .286. Really need to do his job and trying to work towards getting on base. 1-1 count. And just as I said earlier, Cole Westerholt's still looking like he's struggling a little bit, either high and completely almost wild to down in the dirt or right across the plate. But I think that if guys can be patient, they can either draw a walk or get a really nice pitch to hit. And so now 2-1 count. MacNSeitz boys all up on the fence in the dugout. Cheering them on, and Evan Book does draw the walk. Looks like I was one pitch behind in the count. That's going to bring up number 10, Grant Kelly. Grant with a nice line drive in his last at-bat, the single. Right up the middle. Swinging away, misses there. Now Evan Book over there on first base, typically pretty conservative. He's not a speedster for sure. Pass ball though, and he is up on his toes and makes his way over to second base. So now 1-1 count. Kelly stepping into the box. And another wild pitch. So as I was saying earlier, I kind of felt that we had an opportunity here, if we could just be patient up at the plate, that there was going to be some control issues. And you can see the pitcher is now talking to himself, taking a long walk around the mound before he steps back up on working from the stride. So 3 pitches, 3 balls, a 3-1 count. Now typically I said this is a hitter's count right here. You're typically going to see him take a little bit off of the fastball and try to get it in the middle, and that one down in the dirt again. That puts runners on the corners and the tying run up at the plate. Ketch wanting to take a quick moment here to talk to the pitch, and the pitcher not really wanting to hear it too much. Now the infield convening on each other. Maybe talking about how they want to handle the infield ground ball. So nobody down here, bottom of the 6th. MacNSeitz trailing by 3, tying run at the plate. And Reed taking that first pitch for a ball. So again, not exactly wild, but nowhere near the zone. Wild pitch. Kelly will almost walk down to second. And so you got to think here, just a single scores a run. Oftentimes you can score two, depending on where that single's hit and how it's fielded. But Grant Kelly, probably one of the slower runners on the roster. And Cole going back to that curveball for a strike. Down in the dirt. Catch doing a good job getting the glove on that one. Kind of surprised to not see him down and trying to dig, but gloving the ball nonetheless. Conservative leads by MacNSeitz. Obviously not wanting to get doubled up, and redraws the walk. It's 2 at-bats in a row. I was behind on the count, but MacNSeitz with the bases loaded and the go-ahead run now at the plate, Ryder Votaw. Odessa Bombers coaching staff wanting to talk to the pitcher. Doesn't look like he's ready to take the ball from him. He's talking about, hey, I want you to come fully set. Talking to the catcher and talking to the pitcher about their work together. See Coach Brady over there on third base trying to give instructions to Grant Kelly. And then also Evan Book over there on third base. This has been a situation, I think, twice this season where MacNSeitz has been doubled off here. A short little fly ball on the infield and guys not getting back to the base. So what I'm hoping is that our boys have learned their lessons on a couple of those, with Grant Kelly almost halfway in between the base paths. And Ryder hopping out of the way on that one. Would have liked to maybe seen him take that one off the leg. So Votaw batting .333 on the season. He's got 3 RBIs, looking to add that here. Oh! And a called strike there outside corner. And now 1-1 count. So big lead over there at first and second. A little more modest at third. And Cole continuing to struggle with his control. 2-1 count. Swing and a miss on a curveball, a little pass ball, and nowhere for anybody to go. Ryder with a quality at bat there, found that one back, remaining a 2-2 count. So left side of the infield definitely playing in. So shortstop very shallow, third base very shallow, right side not so much, but at least even with the base. Second baseman, I don't know, kind of out in no man's land a little bit as Ryder takes ball number 3. So a full count, no outs. Bases loaded. Bottom of the 6th, and this has been one of those few opportunities where MacNSeitz looking for something good here. And he takes ball number 4 for a walk, and that will bring a run home. So now 5-3. And big hitting Jacob Larson at the plate. Jacob showed earlier against ABA Simpson in our last tournament, not shy with the higher velocity guys that we've seen this year, which tend to be right around where Cole Westerhold has been throwing it. He's working from the windup right now. And throws ball 1 up high. He looks like he's really trying to find some rhythm here. Walks all the way around the mound, steps up and is going from the windup. Curveball missing high. And Jacob Larson with 9 RBIs, leading the team in RBIs right now on the season. Puts the bat on the ball, but this one's out of play. And you can really start to see that sun coming down. Seems like that breeze, that nice breeze that's been here has kind of let up. Now starting to feel a little bit more humid. Now 2-1 count. Oh, and a called strike. I don't know about that one. I think maybe he thought Larson had a check swing on that. I don't think Larson went, but he called it a strike nonetheless, and now a 2-2 count. So Larson needing to protect the plate here. And he smashes this one left side. That one gets down. 2 runs will score. Larson making his way over to second base. So coming up big there with a 2 RBI double. And really probably a single, but making his way over to second after the throw coming in. And MacNSeitz, for the first time this season, coming up here in the bottom of the inning, coming up with runs when they needed them. And now the Odessa Bombers coach has seen enough. Pitcher number 18, Cole, coming out definitely visibly frustrated, disappointed in the performance. And I tell you what, the young man's got some athleticism and throws the ball hard. He probably just needs a little bit more work to kind of dial it in. Let's see who the Bombers are bringing in. That's number 6. And quite the contrast in pitching styles, as this looks like number 6 Tack, maybe. And I do apologize if I have that wrong. I'm looking at a carbon copy, so the writing is very, very faint. But this young man coming up, quite the contrast in pitching style, so not throwing hard. Pitch coming in, really sitting around kind of like the mid to upper 50s. So, I mean, you're talking about up to upwards of like a 12-mile-an-hour difference on a consistent basis. And fortunately for MacNSeitz, it'll be number 44, Paul McCliney, up at the plate. Paul really, in the fall season, leading in almost every offensive statistical category that we had. Maybe not as strong here this season, batting just .278, but slugging percentage at .556. And he's got 7 RBIs with an opportunity for a couple more here. First pitch coming in, down in the dirt. So obviously a ton of strategy when it comes to pool play, and we talk about this pretty often here in tournament play. Kalani chops this one right back to first. All right. And so kind of on what would have looked to be a fielder's choice. The pitcher kind of making a little bit of an error there, running towards home plate after he fielded the ball, and then not really making a throw over to first base in enough time at all. I'd call that a fielding error. So bases loaded now, this time for Logan Peterson. And Logan chasing one high, fouls that one out left side. Logan, one of these guys that, when he puts the bat on the ball, that ball really jumps off the bat. Puts a lot of intent into his swings. But oftentimes I see him kind of chasing things a little bit out of the zone, and unfortunately, because he's such a big guy, oftentimes if that pitch is coming in a little wonky, he'll make an adjustment, but he'll roll over on it and get a big chopping grounder. But putting anything in play right here could put MacNSeitz in the lead. Holding off on that one well over his head. Now 1-2 count. Ryder Votaw at third, one of the speedier runners that we have. And a wild pitch. Nobody goes. Got to think that number 44, their catcher, looks like Drake for the Odessa Bombers, has got to be getting a little bit tired. One of the warmer days of the year so far, and he's been having to work back and forth, back and forth. I don't see him digging a lot out of the dirt, so he's chasing a lot. Big chopper, this one over to third, and an errant throw. Oh, and it looks like that will be the game, so MacNSeitz winning 6-5. And I tell you what, in a close one here, but finally that home advantage coming into play for MacNSeitz for the first time this season. We walk it off, putting that ball into play, and Ryder Votaw coming across the plate. Had a number of different pitchers come up there, starting off with Grant Kelly, followed by Brooks Carr, and then ending with Austin Strength. So definitely looking to the pool of players, and as you will often see in pool play, trying to save arms for bracket play. We do have one more game set for this evening. That'll be at 8 p.m. Looks like we're about a half hour behind in gameplay, so I would imagine that our game probably at the earliest is going to start about 8:30. And so with an hour 40 timeline, unless it's a run rule here in this next game before ours, I would imagine that we'll be starting a little bit late. We'll go live for you again here on YouTube, and really exciting to see our MacNSeitz boys coming up.
We are. He's staying right here.
Coming up with a win there in pool play. So thanks for joining us. Hope to see you guys again here later this evening. That's all for us here.